Welcome to the Oklahoma State Historic Preservation Office Lunch and Learn, Creativity in the Preservation World, How to Reach a Younger Generation. Today's presenter is Jessica Scott, the Community Development Director for the City of Ardmore. Jessica has been working in municipal government for over 20 years, and while working for the City of Ardmore, she has produced Ardmore's Comprehensive Plan and the Main Street Kids Junior Preservationist Activity Book in 2020. Her newest book for kids, A is for Ardmore, was just published as part of the Certified Local Governments Program funding. Over to you, Jessica.
Hello, and thank you all for coming. So this is about creativity in the preservation world, how to get the younger generation involved. So when I first started doing historic preservation, there wasn't a lot of activity, there wasn't a lot of outreach for children, and honestly, they're our future of preservation. And so the whole goal was to bring children in, and as they grow up, they understand how important preservation is. And if we can teach it from a young age, hopefully we're developing future preservationists. And so that is why when we did our book and we did our Main Street Kids program, the first thing we did was an activity book on how to become a junior preservationist. So we took our CLG funds and we made an activity book that was available for all ages, kind of kindergarten through about, I would say, 6th grade. And we did, of course, it's everything that's listed on the register, just buildings that are on the register. And we did, word searches, kind of some trivia, a lot of good information. And it's very, very, very popular. It's not just popular with the kids, it's also popular with the adults, which was kind of surprising to me. But, and it was basically a push to become a junior preservationist. At the end of our book, there is a little question and answer section. And when you come in, we give you a junior preservationist badge. And it's been extremely popular with the kids, mostly the kids and some adults. So after we decided we were going to create this book, was how are we going to reach these children? Like, now we have all this wonderful information, we have this great thing, and how do we reach it? And so we started doing some of the community events. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you still hear me? Hello, Shay?
Yes, I can hear you. I can't see you if you're wanting us to see you, but I can hear you.
Okay, because I think I'm lagged. Hello?
You sound great on our side.
Okay, well, it won't let me switch. Okay, it won't let me switch to my next slide. So if you could switch to the next slide, that would be great. Hello. Okay.
Sorry, everyone. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty.
If we can switch to the next slide. Technical difficulties. So we got the book and we were like, we need to do some community engagement. So we started working with our Parks and Rec department, our local Main Street Authority, and the library. And we got with them and we started attending all of their events. Oh, this is awkward. Okay. So we started attending all of their events. And we decided that along with the book, we would do activities to correlate with kind of the things in the book and kind of just bring the kids in. And our first activity, it was at Central Park. And in our book, one of the listed register properties is the Central Park Bandstand. So we were at the bandstand. We set up a booth there. We had all of our books. We had tubs of Legos, and we interacted with the kids, and we had them design their own bandstand out of Legos. And it was a huge hit. Kids love Legos. And then while they were there, we discussed, the history of the Central Park Bandstand, how that even became, there was a wagon yard just south of that area, and we talked about the wagon yard and why wagon yards were important. And we got a lot of knowledge out there, and kids were posing with their Legos and the bandstand. They were posing with the big bandstand. It was a big, huge hit, and it was something interactive they could do, and then they would take the book with them. And at those events, we tend to have about, I would say, 300 to 500 kids come up, and so it's really, really, really great. And so after that, like, that was such a big success. It was in the summer, and then we decided that at the Christmas tree lighting, we were going to try to do something else. And so we took some of the images from our coloring book, which our coloring book was made by Really Big Coloring Books, and they drew me some images that we could make on historic type. In their paper, I have a slide. I don't know if you guys can see it. Historic type ornaments. And so we brought the ornaments, we brought felt, glue, and the kids colored them. And we had like the Mercy train, which is in our downtown. And we had some money that was issued when Oklahoma was still IT. And we just had different, with like the courthouse, and the kids would pick whichever ornament and they would color them, they would put them together, and they would take them home. And that was a really big hit. Mostly they just want to take them home and do them at home, which is great too. But while they were there, again, we got to specifically discuss each register listed item, like the Mercy train or the Carter County Courthouse, the Tivoli Theater. Like, we got to discuss issues about that, and it was great. And the parents had some active involvement, and I felt like very positive. We will probably do that every year because it was just so great. And then this year, we've kind of done our activity book. And so we're like, you know what, we want to do something different. And so on the 100th day of school, on the Cat in the Hat's birthday, our fire department goes into the schools, and I guess it's the police department, everybody goes into school, and they kind of read to the schools. And we thought, how great would it be if we had a book about our history of Ardmore, of our historic buildings, of stuff that the kids can go and visit, and they could hear about it in school from hopefully a fireman or a policeman, someone they're going to listen to. And so that's where the idea for Ardmore A to Z came out. And so it's more like a storybook, and every initial, A for Ardmore, every single initial is a property that's listed on the register all the way through Z. And it's got facts, it's got knowledge, it has the address, so you can go see it. It has the date it was listed on the register, and it's colorful. It's like a children's book, and the firemen love it. I'll be honest, everybody's really loved it. It just came out. We just published it this last year, and people have gone crazy for it. The teachers love it, and the teachers are using it in their classroom, which I thought was great. Oh, there goes my slides, I think. And sorry for the technical difficulties. But yes, and so it has kind of just all of the properties on there, which is really great. Yeah. So, and that's kind of how we're doing with that one. And so we have met our library. We have both books at our library. We have both books at our Chamber of Commerce. We have both books at our Main Street. And then again, like, we're super active in the community. If there's a park event, if there's a library event, if there's any type of city event, we're going to be there. We're going to have an activity. We're going to have our books, and we're going to reach out to that younger generation. And often when you get some activity with that younger generation, you're also getting the parents involved, which has been great for getting people to be on our board and people to care about it. And it's been fantastic. We're right now setting up for Kids Day in the Park. Kids Day in the Park is a huge park event. We always have a booth at it. We always have some type of event. And so this year we are going to have a life-size board game that is based on kind of like a Monopoly game, but it's huge. The kids can walk on the spaces, and all the spaces are going to be properties that are listed on the register and that are downtown. So like, they'll be able to see them. In fact, Central Park is free parking, that same space. And Central Park is where we'll be having the event. And so that would be, there'll be a photo of Central Park. And you can see that there. I'm hoping you guys can still hear me. I know there's some technical issues. That is my Ardmore A to Z book. That's the new one that just came out. If you guys can see that, that's the Carter County Courthouse on the front. Also our feed mill and the Sayer home, which is one of the oldest homes in Ardmore. And those are also featured in the book. And yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine. It's just the advance of the slides, I think, because of the lag. Well, we could hear you,
Thanks,
unless you're
Katie.
not speaking.
Great. Now, can you hear me? I'm speaking, but I'm hoping you can hear me. I couldn't hear you guys, but so that's
Yes.
great. I hate the technical issues. I'm so sorry. I'm in Houston, and I'm not in my office or anywhere great. So, um, as I was saying, so we're making a huge effort to attract the younger generation because they are our future preservationists. If we want these kids to go into our fields, the field of planning, the field of preservation, to understand the importance of these structures and these buildings and why we care, then we have to start at a young age. And so if we don't start with them now, think of everything that can be lost. And so our city has just made a big effort to make that a priority, and that's what we're going to do. And we're going to make it a priority, and we're going to keep engaging with our youth. Hello.
Jessica? And I have a couple of questions that people have posed during your presentation.
Wonderful.
So one is, who illustrated and printed your books?
That's a great question. And so we worked with a company called Really Big Coloring Books. And what happened was when I started looking for bids, because of course we're the government, I wanted someone who would hand draw each photo. I didn't want, like, some companies will digitize your photo into a coloring book, and I didn't want that. I wanted the more personal feel. So it is a lot of work on your end. But what happens is, you send the photos, they send a proof, you go back and forth. And for me, I wanted to make sure that each photo captured the historic feel of the book or the historic feel of the item listed on the register. So if it was listed for its columns or its type of brick, then that really needed to be emphasized in the pictures. And so they were amazing. And I mean, we go back and forth. They're quick, mostly, and they did a fantastic job. But like, you send the photos, they draw them. They did like my word search. They did the we have like they draw half the building, you draw half the building. We had like a seek and find. They did all of that. Now, of course, I wrote all the the text and the questions, but they kind of put it on there, and they're amazing.
Okay, so we have another question, and it's kind of a two-parter. How much do you invest in each of your activities, like the events at the library, the Christmas event, and creating the coloring book? And what funding sources did you use?
That's a great question. And are we thinking like financially, how much did we invest? Or are we thinking time? Or
I
both?
would say financially, or probably both, honestly.
Probably both. Okay, so for the coloring book, we all of our funds for the coloring book, for the printing and the making of the coloring book and the storybook came from our CLG funds. But all of our events the funding comes from my own department. Luckily, my department isn't just historic preservation. We are community development. We have planning and zoning. We have code enforcement. We have animal control. We have building. So we're a big department. So there's funds there. I'm fortunate. And so, like, making our board game or whatever, that came out of our funds. The Lego thing came out of our funds. Everything else kind of just comes out of our general fund for the department. Oh, and about how much. So on our events, once we got set up, we have a sign and we have a tablecloth and we have tables. And once we got all of that set up, we probably don't spend $100 on our events. Like, it doesn't take much. It's just getting out there and interacting with the kids. It was a lot of work on like my office's end because I made them all cut out each individual. We printed them ourselves, and I cut out each individual ornament. I made them cut out the felt. It was a lot of work on our end, but we got it done, and it was reasonable cost, and the kids just love it. So we kept going. Oh, and the storybook, I got 2,500 copies, and they drew it, and they did all of that, and it was 6,700.
Okay, so kind of to that end of your staff working these events, is it your staff? Does Main Street help you staff the events? Who all staffs them for you?
So it's just my staff in my department. So it's just us. Main Street, usually they'll have their own booth. They do kind of their own thing at our events. The library will have their own thing. They'll staff their own thing. Parks staff their own things. We just come, like my department as a group, and we become part of their event. And, of course, like they have other vendors. They waive the fee for us because we're the city, and they'll put us somewhere nice in the shade where we're going to get a lot of kids. And it's just my staff.
Okay. So another question that was posed, and I'm going to try to reword this. Do you probably participate with a variety of Native American nations in Oklahoma? So do you get them involved with these books?
So
Do you get involved at their activities?
So we're in the Chickasaw Nation. Like that's the area that we are in. And I think that's who we have the most contact with. I haven't been in touch. Do they have a preservation department? Do we know?
Yes, they
Shay?
do. They do.
Okay, I didn't know. We probably should get in touch with them. We had some other issues. We had a building in our town that we thought maybe it was going to be possible as a listing, and we contacted both the Chickasaw and the Choctaw Nation because we thought they might have had history, but it ended up not being. But when we went down that research track, like we did contact both of them, and they came out, but it ended up not being a resource that could be listed. But no, we should get them involved in the books. That's a great idea.
Are you looking at potentially updating or doing a new version of your activity book?
Absolutely. It's so popular. I kind of want to do something different, right? Like I think that different would be good. We figure like maybe every other year we could put something out. And so we definitely want to do, the activity book is really big. We have a really big push right now on our walking tour app. So our walking tour app's being used a lot. And so somebody recommended, which I think is a fantastic idea, of doing a walking tour app for the kids. And it would be more like a scavenger hunt. And so you would be finding, certain items on these buildings in the downtown. And I think that is a really, really good idea. I think it's going to be a lot of time trying to figure out what they're going to scavenger hunt for. But I think it would be fun. I think we would get a lot of the Girl Scout and the Boy Scout troops doing it. And then there's a local history professor who uses my walking tour app for his class. And so I think those kids, even though they're in college, I think they would use it as well. So like one new activity every other year is what we push for.
So Jessica, another question that's been posed. Do they have badges in Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts for preservation related activities?
Okay, so that was a big thing. And I actually contacted BSA. And so our book, and if you finish our activity book, it can be part of a badge they already have. So there's not a specific one for preservation, but they have there's several different ones. I want to say there's 3 different ones where if you come and you do our book and you complete it, or you walk down and you see the buildings, that those would be part of them getting their badge. And so I was really pushing for a preservationist badge. So you have to submit, and they pick so many a year. But I mean, I think as a state, we should submit for a preservationist badge, for both. But even the Girl Scouts, they can use our stuff, but it goes towards a community badge. I can't remember what theirs is. The Boy Scouts was a little more kind of detailed, they're very specific on what they can have. And it it counts for like the government part. It counts for, there's a whole bunch of different ones it counts for, but it's not its own, unfortunately. I wish it was.
Ron France added, yes, it counts for American Heritage, American History badges for Boy Scouts. So at least there's 2 of the badges that you could earn with it.
I'm so sorry. Hello?
We can hear you, Jessica. Maybe not. All right, so we have another question. How did you make your life-size board game?
Okay, I only caught life-size board game. Say that again.
How did you make your life-size board game?
Oh. Okay, I know you asked me something about the life-size board game. Okay, how did I make it? Okay, great. So the board game is actually made off of, it's going to be like a big quilt. I mean, it's not a quilt. It was an old tablecloth that's 100% polyester, but you'll be able to fold it up because I needed something that we could store. We're the city, right? That we could store and we could bring out. And so it's a gigantic tablecloth. It's 12 foot by 12 foot. And then it's kind of designed on the Monopoly design. So there's 4 squares on the corners and then 3 squares in between each of the 4 squares. And I haven't really thought about what I'm going to put in the middle yet. I need to put something in the middle, but all the other squares are actually properties that are listed on the register and in our downtown. And we got giant inflatable dice. And so there'll be giant dice the kids can roll, and they will physically walk on to the board game and move to their location. And then we will ask them a question. There was a lot of discussion as to what type of questions would we do. Would we do trivia? Would we like tell a story and then try to ask questions from it? And in the end, I think just to get more participation, we've decided that the questions, because I haven't made them yet, are going to be more like, why do you think it's important? Like, why do you think preservation is important? Or, more questions that are open-ended that the kids can kind of answer themselves, and that we can kind of guide with them, through it. Like, why should we protect old buildings? Or, why we shouldn't tear them down? And, why is it important that the building still looks like it did when it was built? And just kind of questions at their level that we can talk through and work through and get them thinking, kind of critically thinking on, why it's important. And rather than just kind of telling us it was built in 1914. And so the questions are the part where I'm at now. So like I said, it's cloth, it's sublimated printed. So you print on the computer, you sublimate it on the 100% polyester. You can wash it, you can dry it, you can walk on it, and it's cheap. It's not expensive. And so it's affordable for the government, and we're really excited. My goal is to get some swag from like the library and Parks Department, and try to give that out as kind of, yay, like you made it through the game. And, just kind of City of Ardmore stuff. If I can think of something, I would love to think of something that we could do that was preservationist minded. Like if I could think of something that would fit with us that I could give out, it would be amazing. So if you have any ideas, send them to me, because I think that would be just great.
All right. Well, we don't have any other questions. But if anyone proposes some, you can let us either contact Shay or myself, and we will get them to Jessica and make sure that she has the opportunity to answer them for you. So Shay, I'll turn it back to you.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Listen, thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, call me. If you want copies of the book, my email and my phone number, my address are on the last slide. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I will send you copies of the book. If you need to reach out to, like, if you want contacts for who did our books, I will get you in contact with the exact guy that did my books, or any other questions, or if, just call me, email me. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, everyone, for sticking by us with the technical difficulties. We appreciate it. We hope you got some great information out of the presentation today. If you have any questions, like Jessica said, feel free to contact her with the City of Ardmore, and she will be happy to answer those questions. Again, thank you for attending and have a great day.